pressed the go live button and I wasn't ready. Okay. Good morning. Good happy Friday morning, you guys. This is my favorite day because I get to see my grandson today. So, my name is Misha. I talk about insulin resistance. I talk about it as being related to a number of things that are going on with us all. So, and I do that because I got really sick, and when doctors couldn't help me and were frustrated and ready to throw in the towel, I stumbled on a natural protocol that helped me overcome my insulin resistance, helped me reverse my diabetes, and helped me with everything else. And so now I just try to impart some information to people so that you too can find a pathway if you're not finding one, a better pathway if you're sick and tired of medications, and all of that. So let's dive in. I want to talk today about insulin resistance, GLP1 drugs. Okay. Why the GLP1 drugs? GLP1 drugs went from being a diabetic medication to realizing that they had some impact on weight loss. And so now they're being prescribed for weight loss purposes. And at first they were being prescribed off label, and now they've gone in and had FDA approval for them to be used on label for weight loss. However, most of those drugs are like Wegovy is about 4 to 5 times the dose of Ozempic or semaglutide. So it's a much higher dose to help people lose weight and lose weight rapidly than the normal dose for diabetes. And why does all this matter? If you can take an injection and lose a lot of weight, why is everybody up in arms about it? So I'm just going to give some knowledge. I am not a proponent of medications. Let's start with that. My purpose of talking about these drugs isn't to tell you, hey, it's okay. It's to just bring awareness to what's happening with those drugs. And then I do have a more natural solution, the protocol I use. And then you can decide, right? I can't make that decision for you, but let's give you some information. So the weight loss drugs, the biggest class of them that are being prescribed right now, and that's the one I want to talk about, is GLP1, glucagon-like peptide. So let's go into some what do I want to say? Let's talk a little bit about GLP1s and what they do. That's what we want to do. We want to go into what they do. But in order to do that, maybe we need to understand 3 things: insulin, glucagon, and glucagon-like peptide. Now, a glucagon-like peptide is something called an incretin. There's a lot of information that I'm not going to get to today, but let's just do the best we can. So that those incretins, GLP-1s, are fairly new. They started finding those when they were doing research on gastric bypass surgeries. And they started noticing this increase in certain substances that they hadn't yet identified. And when they started researching what those increased substances were after gastric bypass surgery, they found and defined glucagon-like peptide. And then they started creating drugs around that model. So insulin, we'll start there. Insulin is a hormone that's increased when you have increased blood sugar. And its job is to carry that blood sugar or glucose out to every cell in the body. So in a normal day, we're eating, that food gets converted into glucose, insulin goes up to deliver that energy. Now, I want to pause for a second here and have everyone understand that if you're gaining weight, the biggest percentage of us are gaining weight because of increased insulin and the body's resistance to that insulin. So what's happening is when the other cells of the body don't want to take up the insulin like they used to, insulin starts going to our fat cells to store it. So now those storage units are filling up and you're gaining weight and you're getting heavier. That's where the weight comes from. So let's back up another step and say, if somebody's telling you to just lose weight, you would feel better. Let's understand that to just lose weight, we need to understand and control insulin. So if we're already overproducing insulin so much that the body's less responsive to it, put this question in the back of your head: Why would we increase insulin to solve the problem? Because that's what most of these drugs and injecting insulin are doing, are trying to increase the insulin load in your body when your body's already resistant to it. Glucagon is like the component hormone to insulin. Insulin stores and saves. Glucagon spends. But here's an interesting thing about glucagon. When insulin comes down and glucagon can come out, we talk about that in the timeline and why fasting is so important. But glucagon doesn't come out until insulin is down, because insulin doesn't like glucagon. Glucagon, remember, is spending everything that insulin is storing. So insulin doesn't let glucagon come out until insulin is gone or down. So now glucagon comes out. And why is that important? Well, one of the things that glucagon is doing is talking to the liver now to help the liver convert stored units of energy back into the bloodstream so it can be used by the body. So in effect, glucagon is rising your blood sugar. And it's important because when we're fasting, and our blood sugar level drops because we're not taking in energy anymore, we need to get those energy units somewhere, right? So that's where glucagon is the spender. It's still increasing the blood sugar though, okay? It's spending these stores that insulin put in there, but in doing so, it's raising the blood sugar. Now, in a different talk, I talked about how like the muscles and the brain have back doors to get this energy in when insulin is down and glucagon is doing its job. But the bottom line is now the blood sugar levels are high. And if you can imagine, the longer you've been insulin resistant, when you start to fast, your blood sugar levels are going to go pretty high because you have tons of stores of of sugar in your liver, and the body's trying to burn that up for the energy levels that you're used to having. So insulin saves, glucagon spends. Insulin is trying to reduce blood sugar levels. Glucagon is increasing blood sugar levels. And then we get to GLP1, or things like Ozempic, semaglutide, Wegovy, Mounjaro. Now, Mounjaro adds another piece called GIP to it that actually increases the action of the GLP1. So that's why Mounjaro is so different, because they've added this other piece to it. I don't fully understand GIP yet, so I'm not going to talk about it. But it is the difference between Mounjaro and some of the others, is that it has this other incretin called GIP that's helping the GLP1 work even better than just the regular drugs of like Wegovy. So GLP1 just means glucagon-like peptide, and it's an agonist. So the glucagon-like peptide isn't really increasing glucagon, it's striving to decrease glucagon and increase insulin so that the blood sugar levels come back down. So it's actually causing a system where the pancreas is now working harder to increase the insulin level that's already too high in your body. But by eliciting this extremely high level of insulin, it is getting rid of the sugars out of the bloodstream. Glucagon's not able to do its job of increasing more sugars, so the blood sugars are staying down. Now, that can actually have an effect on weight loss, but there's some other components to it that are why people are losing weight. So GLP-1 also does something about, I want to say gastroparesis, but I'm trying to say words that are more just more digestible by everyone. So what it does is it slows down the emptying of your stomach. In the bottom line, it slows down the emptying of your stomach. Now, here's the twist, right? Delayed gastric emptying in a small amount is really healthy for us, because most of the foods that we're eating now are devoid of fiber and anything to slow them down. And so they're metabolizing through our system really quickly and delivering that package of energy that we got too quick. And so now you have these energy highs and lows. Your blood sugar goes up and then it dips down, and you go from having tons of energy to feeling lethargic. But where was I with the blood sugar levels? Okay, so the delayed gastric emptying. There's so much in my head right now. So the delayed gastric emptying can be really good because we need to have our food go through our intestinal tract in a metered manner so that we can pull nutrients out of the food we've eaten. So a little bit of delayed gastric emptying, especially in today's society where our food is going through us too quickly, fruit juices, fruit smoothies, yes, even protein shakes, all of that moves through your body so quickly that your body is really not able to absorb the other nutrients out of the food. So we want some delayed gastric emptying. So beyond the nutritional value of delayed gastric emptying, there is this other factor where, of course, if there's still food in your stomach, you're not going to feel hunger. You're going to feel fuller longer. So the GLP1 agonists do that as well. So they slow down that gastric emptying. But here's the thing, and we're going to talk about the natural solution and what happens there. But that delayed gastric emptying can create a blockage in your intestines. Okay, so now food's not moving through quickly, but why is food not moving through quickly? You didn't add fiber, you didn't add substance to the food. Remember, you took an injection. So how is the food being slowed down from passing through your stomach? Again, you didn't add bulk, you didn't add fiber, you just took a shot in your belly. Now, or in the back of your arm, or in the thigh. But how it's doing that is slowing down the rate of contraction and the force of contraction of your intestinal and GI tract. So from the stomach contracting to pass the food through, to the intestines contracting to pass the food through, to the gallbladder contracting to release bile to digest the food, it's all slowed down. So now you're holding onto that food longer. But because the intestinal tract, the stomach, are not moving as quickly. Like, I just spoke with a young woman who's on one of these drugs the other night, and she said she has what she calls sulfur burps. Now, she's young enough to probably not consider that ulcerative yet, but those sulfur burps are a relation to that delayed gastric emptying. Why am I trying to put a T on gastric? Gastric emptying. That's why, because there's a T in emptying. All right, so what's happening is that food is sitting in there. Now, your stomach is one of the most acidic places in your body, or probably is the most acidic place in your body. Your urine is one of the next most acidic places. And there's a reason for that. If you want to know why the urine is acidic, I'll tell you that in a little bit. But the stomach. The acids in the stomach are there to break down that food and get it moving, right? So now here's this mass in the stomach, and so that's cueing the stomach to produce acid to digest it, but your intestines and your stomach aren't contracting as much, so it's not moving through. So the stomach's continually producing this acid, and the stomach lining is built for that. Type 1 diabetes in children, I'll talk about that in a second. Still, with type 1 diabetes, none of these drugs should be being given, adult or child, right? If you're type 1, there's warnings about that with these drugs. So you guys got me with no makeup on today. I just hopped out of bed. All right, most of these problems are did keto and intermittent fasting, and I'm a lot better. Buddy, yeah. Keto and intermittent fasting. Keto, we can talk about a little bit later, but I do want to address that because we want to have a body that knows what to do with sugar, not a body that has so much sugar it can't deal with it, or so little sugar that it forgets what to do when we do have sugar. So keto is great as a short-term option, in my opinion, but as a long-term option, we really should be addressing what's causing the glucose that we eat, and our fruits and vegetables have glucose too. So we want to know how to make that more normal, and that answer is actually fiber. We'll get there in a minute. But so the gastric delayed gastric emptying. Now, when that's happening, this young lady is having these excess acids going on, right? So now her gut lining, which is thick and made for this acid, the esophagus is not. But now the stomach is so full, and you have this sphincter at the top of your stomach that closes it off from the esophagus, so that when the food goes in, this closes off, and now everything that's in the stomach being digested and all those acids stay in the stomach until the food passes through. And that sphincter closes off tight, and it's what prevents that acid from coming up in our system. With these drugs and that continual load of food in the gut and the continuing acid that's being produced, there's an overproduction. That sphincter starts to work less. It starts to relax. Some of those acids bubble up. It might be acid reflux, but it can start out as those sulfuric burps because you have rotting food sitting in your gut that's not passing through. So I will continue the intermittent fasting, but I promised everybody I'd talk about these drugs real quick. So there's that. One of the biggest complaints with the drug is this acid reflux, the sulfuric burps, and then people end up in the hospital. They say it's rare, but I hear more and more stories of people ending up in the hospital because that food mass that's supposed to be slowed down stops moving. And now there's toxicity building in the body. So not a good way to delay gastric emptying by affecting how the muscles work. And when I've talked about GLP-1s increasing insulin, they're doing that by inhibiting glucagon, and now the insulin has to take over, and those drugs are eliciting more insulin response, which is also putting a load on the pancreas. So that can lead to pancreatitis or an inflammation infection in the pancreas. So there's all of that. Now, I bet that you can understand that if your stomach feels full all the time, if your blood sugars are low, that you might feel full and not want to eat, and you're going to lose weight because you have severe caloric restriction, but you haven't fixed that food that you put in your face that caused the problem in the first place. So I'm going to stop with all of that now. It's been a little while. So what if you could find ways to do this with food? We're going to talk about intermittent fasting now, and increase your GLP-1 action naturally in your body without the chemical restrictions on the gastric emptying, but delaying the gastric emptying because you've added bulk into your system. And so now the muscles in there are working properly. They're just not moving things through as quickly because you've added fiber. But there's also foods that increase the GLP-1. So the satiety shut down in the brain. So you're feeling full. I mean, satiety increase in the brain. So you're feeling full as shutting down ghrelin, the hunger hormone. So now you're not sensing that you're full, you're hungry because you have this brain action. You're getting a little distension in the gut that's saying, hey, I'm full, I don't need to eat. And what if you could do all of that naturally without all the chemical stuff that's causing pancreatitis and this gastroparesis and all of that? I didn't mean to do that, but here, a good cue. So this particular tea, which is a highly concentrated form of yerba mate tea, it's the only tea in the world that's processed like this. And this particular form of yerba mate tea has been proven to increase that GLP-1 like action in your body by 70 to 80% by giving your body nutrients and allowing it to do the job it's supposed to do. Okay, so drinking this tea doesn't break a fast. So it increases your ability to fast by keeping you feeling fuller longer, while allowing you to have some fat burning, while allowing you to have some antioxidant properties and some anti-inflammatory properties. And the saponins in this actually help the liver function better. So now you're having better liver health. You get better heart health. There's heart health properties in it. There's brain health properties in it. This was actually developed as a mental health tool, and then we started realizing how much it works for this thing of intermittent fasting and insulin resistance. So you find the tea Busby in my profile. If you tap on the profile, my name up above, a white box will come up. Tap that again, you'll get to my profile. Red lights in the profile under my picture. There's a link there. You'll get the tea there. So it's actually a system though. So it's a tea in the morning and a pre-meal drink that I have before I eat anything. And this is how it's packaged. So that tea that I'm drinking that increases your own natural GLP1 without the drugs, without the damage, by 70 to 80% is in this packet. So this packet, all I had to do is sit down. I warmed up some water in the microwave, and then I tear this packet open, pour it in, and that's it. I don't have a cold one here today. Normally I have one in 20 to 30 ounces of water that I drink cold, and I drink 2 of these a day at minimum. Sometimes I drink 3, but because of that, I do this. Now, before I eat them, to deal with the other part, now I want to slow down gastric emptying. I want to be able to utilize the nutrients that are in the food. I add this in. And what this is a multi-fiber complex with some added plant substances and vitamins and minerals that help the body deal with our food. Both of these, this is really high in vitamins, A, B, C, D, E, K. And more, but this is really complete with nutrients as well, micronutrients. This has had added micronutrients put in it. So now this is slowing down the delivery of the food. It's giving me micronutrients. It's helping me feel full before I eat, helping me stay feeling full after I eat, helping slow down the delivery. Thank you for the hearts. It's helping me slow down the delivery of that food and glucose and fat into my system so that it's more regulated, and I call it time released. This is what I did to reverse my diabetes. A tea in the morning and a pre-meal drink before I eat anything. And the GLP-1 action of this, by the way, like I'm having my tea this morning. I won't be hungry for several hours. Again, as is normal, I'm about 15 hours of fasting today. And this will help me get through that. Now I have some errands to run after this. So if I want to have more of this goodness while I'm out and about, I just put it in one of those stainless steel mugs on some ice with cold water. Same thing. Open it up, tear it, pour it in, and that's done. Now, if I eat when I'm out, I usually carry one of these bottles with me, and if I know I'm going to eat when I'm out, I just put some water in the bottle and take it with me. Same thing, a little bit of water in the bottle, pour the packet in, shake it up, there you go. Now, if you travel, if you move around a lot for work and whatnot, you can understand how important it is to have something that's easy and sustainable and portable. That's what this does. No big canister of stuff to carry around, and it's just little packets that you can put in your glove box, in your purse, and have with you when you need them. But so GLP-1 action, by 70 to 80% increased in your body with a natural solution that's not causing the pancreatitis or the gastroparesis or the thyroid problems or any of that. In fact, because it's so nutrient heavy, it's supporting your body and healing those. So that's what I do. You can get it again in my profile. Just tap on that option and I can put it in Facebook, YouTube here in a second. Now, there was a couple of other questions here, and you guys, I know I get talking a lot. I am a talker. But if you have questions like these guys have had, please ask the questions, make the comments. It helps everyone else when you do. Well, I have a backup social media channel if they take TikTok away from us. So Julie, I'm on Facebook. I have a professional page on Facebook. I have a group called Beating Insulin Resistance, and these videos will always be in there. But I also have a YouTube channel. Most of my shorts go to Instagram and Pinterest. So there's multiple places. The lives don't go on Pinterest, but they do go on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So yeah, I have a lot of social media accounts out there, and they're all, you can just pop in Misha Fayant and it's going to come up for you. Okay. All right. So now somebody asked about hair loss. In women, hair loss is linked to PCOS. And here's what's happening in very, very brief form. Okay. Insulin is messing with how your sex hormones function in your body. And this is interesting because it comes to weight as well. So we need a certain amount of estrogen in order to burn fat. So too little estrogen, we can't burn fat. Too much estrogen, we're storing fat. We need to have an optimal amount of estrogen. But estrogens come from androgens. They're converted in women in the ovaries. And I don't know whether you are a man or a woman with the hair loss thing, but what's happening is a high level of testosterone. That high level of testosterone can elicit hair growth on the face, but make you start losing hair on your head. So now, women, you're growing a beard, but you're going bald. Frustrating, right? What do you do? It's not just genetics. It has everything to do with food and how we're metabolizing our food. So I, I've got to fill in a piece. I know I skipped a gap. So androgens to estrogens, it's happening in our ovaries for women. So what's happening is we have androgens created first. So think things like testosterone, but there are many other ones. And then the ovaries convert it into estrogen at the right time of the month so that all of these other hormones, like luteinizing hormone, can come out and start to get you ready for conception and for a baby to be born, because it's getting rid of all the extra eggs and keeping the most healthy one. But that estrogen conversion, it's blocked when you have insulin resistance. So now you have low estrogen, you have spotty, painful, long periods. You maybe have extreme bleeding when you do have a period. Maybe you have cysts on your ovaries because the egg cells aren't being removed in a timely manner, and they fall into the lining and cause these cysts. But at the same time, you have high levels of testosterone. Your aggression is up, your anxiety is up, your depression is up, you're losing hair on your head, you're gaining hair on your face. That's what's happening in a nutshell. Marcella, thank you so much for all the love this morning. All right. Was there any questions? I'm 37. Your blood pressure is consistently high, 130 over 95. Should you be worried? So let's talk about blood pressure really quick. And this is like, I have my agenda of what I want to talk about and let people know about. Just remember one thing before I go into blood pressure. If you're looking for a more natural solution to those drugs that's not causing damage, there are actual scientific studies on those pieces of like GLP1 and satiety that are proven with this tea. You're not going to get it from a standard bagged yerba mate tea. This is 375 times more potent than some of those teas in many of the components because of the process that we bring it through. It's ethically and sustainably harvested as well. That's huge for me. So blood pressure. A blood pressure of 130 over 80 consistently is one of the clues that you're having a metabolic problem or an insulin resistance problem. It's also an indicator that you're headed down the road for heart disease. And you're very well aware of that because you're asking this question. Now, Julie, I don't know what was. What about Crohn's? We can talk about that a little bit too. Hair loss. Oh, and somebody asked about, I answered the type 1 diabetics. Look, I'm going to go back to some of the questions that were asked first, and then I'm going to come back to this one that we were just talking about, but I want to make sure I get this in. Type 1 diabetics, children, adult, doesn't matter. The system, we have children under 2 years old who are doing it. I personally have a 7-year-old grandson utilizing this. I have an 11-year-old granddaughter, she's 12 now, who does the whole system every day. I have a 13-year-old grandson who does the whole system every day. He's ADD. She was pre-diabetic, no longer is pre-diabetic because of this. My grandson has a fat metabolizing disorder, and so this is helping him. He's only been doing it for a week. I finally convinced his parents to let me have him do it, and this horrible side effect of the medications he has to be on to save his life cause gastrointestinal distress, and that's easing up already for him as his gut gets stronger and as he's more naturally supported in digesting those fats in a healthy manner. So basically, that poor little boy would have blowouts. and I love him much, but I'm exhausted from my weekends with him because it's constant cleanup crew. And we're concerned. He's in second grade. We don't want him to go on into third, fourth grade having uncontrolled blowouts because of medication that's saving his life. Do the other kids know that? No, they don't. But I finally convinced his parents he's doing this and his gut's getting better. So that's partial answer for Crohn's, but type 1 diabetic and kids, most important thing, right? So we also have a child who's under 2 years old who drinks a little bit of this out of her daddy's drink, and she sips on his tea as well. I also have a 6-year-old granddaughter that since she's been 4 has been not just sipping on, she will chug my tea because she likes it, because it has a lemony flavor to it. So kids. Now the type 1 diabetes part. Type 1 diabetics, you're very well aware, can't produce insulin. So they need exogenous or external insulin to help them deal with the blood sugars, right? So they need to inject insulin. They're still are trying to regulate blood sugars though. Type 2 diabetics, we're eating too much blood sugar, and as a response, our pancreas is creating too much insulin. So either none or too much. In the middle of both of those, what we want to do is regulate the blood sugars and get the insulin under control. And the system does that, whether you're type 1 or type 2. And I have a number of type 1 diabetics who have been able to decrease the load of their insulin because their blood sugars aren't spiking as high after meals, and they're able to utilize less of the insulin, lose weight, have some of the similar symptoms, relief, as a type 2 diabetic or a person who just has metabolic syndrome or insulin resistance. So it does work. And if you need more information on that, I can talk, and I'm more than happy to try and explain it and let you know. But this natural solution has been helping type 1 diabetics as well as type 2 diabetics. Is it going to ever make a type 1 diabetic so that they don't have to inject insulin? I'm not going to ever claim that. You need insulin. We need insulin, but we need it in the right amounts. And the truth is our food environment is just so defunct that it's causing these wild sugar spikes for us all, right? Okay, back to another quick. Crohn's was one. Okay, so what I can say is this. With some of the gastrointestinal disorders, what we're seeing is inflammation in the intestines, right? So now you're having problems digesting, and it's painful, right? You're constantly going. And so I had IBS so bad. I was never diagnosed with Crohn's, and I don't want to claim that one, but I had really bad IBS. And so my bathroom habits were volatile, right? And it was devastating, and it was painful, and it can actually cause you to gain weight, all that excess inflammation. Now, the balance in the system helps rebalance your gut microbiome by giving prebiotics to the probiotics that are in your gut and allowing them to thrive so that that gut starts to heal up. I don't have a direct answer on Crohn's today as to the mechanisms how, but I do know that I have had a number of people with Crohn's, with IBS, even with diverticuli, who have gotten better after utilizing the system consistently for a period of time. And the system has a 90-day money-back guarantee. So you want to do it for 90 days to see what the big thing is for your health. And please don't focus on weight loss. Although I was talking about weight loss drugs this morning, what I want people to focus on is their health. Are your liver numbers getting better? Is your A1C, your blood glucose, your triglycerides, are they going down? Is there less inflammation in your body? Is your eyesight getting better? Is the bleeding in your teeth and gums getting better? For me, I lost skin tags. I lost dark skin patches. My hair started growing back in. My eyesight got better. These glasses are 1.75 diopter. 3 years ago, I was in 3 diopter glasses. So how did I reverse that much of eye damage I'm now 60? Because I got control of the insulin. So blood pressure. Now, this is an important one. And it's one of my favorite ones because I suffered with high blood pressure since my mid-20s, and nobody could figure out what was going on. I remember I just shut up about it for a long time, and then I got really terrified when I was in school to become a medical assistant, and I'm like, my blood pressure is consistently 180 over 150. The best it was in a doctor's visit was 150 over 110. And I called my daughter one night because I had a stethoscope. I have a blood pressure cuff. I have all this stuff around here somewhere. I don't use it as much anymore. But my blood pressure was like 180 over 150. It had gotten up to like 220 over 160, and I was terrified. I called my daughter. She lived in the same town. Her and her husband came and picked me up. They rushed me to the emergency room. The doctors in there said, "There's no way your blood pressure is that high." They took me into a room. They started doing my intake. The nurse ran my blood pressure. Her eyes got big. She ran my blood pressure on the other arm. Her eyes got bigger. She ran my blood pressure on the first arm again. Her eyes got even bigger. All of a sudden, I'm being wheeled back to an emergency room for tests and observation. All right, so all of that to say, my blood pressure was way out of control for years. I'm lucky to be upright and not have a heart that exploded or some other thing go on, right? But at the same time, doctors were cycling me through statins and other drugs, and anti-inflammatory drugs to help my heart rate come down, but none of them were working. So they're cycling through. They're like, let's try this for a few months. It wasn't working. Try this for a few months. It wasn't working. Try this for a few months. It wasn't working. Oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. How are we going to get your blood pressure down? Because it's not coming down. And I don't know what to happen. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what to do. That was my doctors. Okay. My blood pressure wasn't under control. I was on 10 different medications for health problems, 3 different medications for pain problems, 13 different medications I was on 2 years ago, $10 a pop. That's $130 a month for medications that weren't making me better. So here's what happens. I'll go over it really quick. Yes, you should be concerned, but you shouldn't be terrified because high blood pressure is reversible if you understand that 95% of high blood pressure comes directly from insulin resistance. If you get the insulin under control, your blood pressure will come down. There's 5 ways, and I've gone over it in length in talks, but it affects the inner wall of your blood vessels. It affects the blood vessels being able to relax and open up. It affects the fact that you're in fight or flight all the time, so your blood pressure is constantly increased all the time anyway because of increased cortisol. It affects how your body gets rid of salt. So now you're retaining salt and water. Your blood pressure is going up. And then it affects how your fat's metabolizing and what type of fat is being created. And that's causing blockages and arterial plaques in your system. So 5 different ways insulin, and I talk about it more in depth on other lives, but insulin is creating that. Get the insulin under control and the blood pressure can get under control. Now, 3 years after I started the system, I am no longer on any prescribed medications, including any blood pressure medications. About 1.5 years in, I had an annual physical. I need to do one, but I just haven't taken the time. But my blood pressure was completely in normal range. It was 112 over 74, no medications. My A1C was 5.3, no medications. My fasting blood glucose was around 96, no medications. My lipids were down to around, I think, 120 by then for my triglycerides. So there's not a problem with that number either. But how did all of that happen when I went off of all the medications? It's because I gave my body the nutrients it needed to do the job it was always meant to do. Our bodies are amazing. If we just give it the right tools, it will do the job for us in most cases. So if you're 37 and you have 130 over 95, it's going to keep increasing, and that continues to create damage in your heart. But it's also, if that's high and it's insulin resistance, then you got to understand that it's also causing problems with your kidneys, the way the kidneys can offload or retain salt. It's causing problems with your stomach wall and your intestines and some microbiome disorder in your intestines. It's affecting your brain function. It can actually, here's the thing, guys. I don't talk about cancer a lot, but it just came through my head. So breast tissue has 6 times more insulin receptors on it than any other tissue in a woman's body. When those receptors shut down and those receptors are not getting the nutrients they need, now you have a perfect storm for cancer. So does insulin resistance cause the cancer? No, but it can certainly set up an environment where cancer can thrive. and this constant eating. I talk about intermittent fasting. Somebody wanted me to keep talking about that. So, you guys, there is so much, I'm going to swear, bullshit out there about intermittent fasting. The actual studies, not the people who are like, oh my gosh, this happened or that happened. The actual studies are showing increase in brain function because you're increasing brain cell turnover. You have healthier brain cells, healthier heart cells, healthier liver cells, healthier gut. So we need to get some of the food out of our system. Look, we're built for it. No time in history outside of like royal courts did we have so much food so available all the time, and now we're getting sick over it. And anytime you look at any population that started having um, diabetic, wasting disease, whatever, blood sugar problems, they went from a hunter-gatherer type of lifestyle where they had some days where they didn't eat, they had a long period of time where they didn't eat, and then they had some feasts that happened. Instead, we started feasting all the time and feasting on foods that were sugary, sweet, carbohydrate breads, all of this stuff, and now we have a perfect storm for diabetes and metabolic problems. Okay, but my blood pressure is now normal, and all I've done is the system, gotten off of all the medications. Um, They're out of the Unimate. So I want to clarify this. I've had a couple of questions. Yeah, it's been growing so rapidly that from time to time we have an issue. Now, when you order, the company's promise is that you'll have your products in 10 days. I have rarely seen it taken 10 days, but sometimes we have a big bump and production just is not ready for it. We're growing so rapidly as people are understanding how effective this is. And we're working to fix that as well. At 10 days, here's the thing. I've seen the company, if they're out of product and somebody is ordered and day 9 the product is in, they overnight it to you so that it's there on the 10th day. Okay. So I hope that that comes in. Now, I do want to talk about, there's a couple of questions. Hey, Mama Newman. I'm just making sure I'm getting these questions. My last name is Fayant, Fayant. Let me type it in. You guys, if you look me up, you're going to, just because I have so many videos out there, not that there's anything special, I'm just the goofball who did that. That's my last name. I hope you guys can see that. Now, blood pressure, we talked a little bit about that. And if you need more, let me know. How did I get control of the insulin? By understanding that the insulin was out of control because our food system is out of control. When we're told to eat every 2 hours, that's causing constant insulin spikes. Those constant insulin spikes, the constant food that's creating blood glucose way too rapidly is causing a higher insulin spike. So now we just have high insulin levels in our system all the time. And so, two things that you can do to help that is get fiber in first to slow down the delivery of glucose, and do some intermittent fasting so that we're not insulin driven all the time. That's it. All I did was this real food product that is a tea I drink in the morning and a pre-meal drink that I have before anything I eat. This increases the GLP1 action in the tea in your body by 70 to 80%. And that's the same thing that they're doing with the drugs that are not supporting your body and like, hey, I have nutrients, I can do this job, but saying, hey, you're going to do this job, right? So there's a big difference. And if you think about that for a minute, and I talked about this the other day. If you think about a child and you want the child to do something and you're like, you're going to do this because I said, the child gets really resistant. And then it can be destructive in a lot of ways. But if you're encouraging that child and giving it all the tools that it needs to do the job and helping the child get there, the job's going to get done and it's going to be much easier for everybody. Kind of what's happening in the body. Either we can encourage the body to do what it's supposed to, or we can use medications that tell the body what to do. And it's a very different action, as we see with these pancreatitis and gallbladder issues and gastroparesis, or the blockages in the stomach. Those are all happening with the GLP-1 drugs. They don't happen with the Unimate, which is giving you similar effects in the body without all the damaging actions. Okay, for your blood pressure. So let's talk about 6 things that you can start to do for your blood pressure, because intermittent fasting is huge in this. When I talked about we don't need as much food as we're getting, there's a lot of truth in that. So what you can do is this. You want to do fiber first. That's why I do this. And actually, I've upped my fiber intake because I'm 60 and I want to make sure that my liver and everything is functioning super healthy for the next like 30, 40 years, because I don't want to be that sickly old person. So I'm doing an extra fiber in the morning when I wake up. Doesn't break my fast, by the way, but helps support my digestive tract in working. Now, when we don't have sugar that we're introducing into our system all the time, this energy transport system of insulin can come down. When insulin comes down, the component hormone glucagon can come out. Why is that important? Insulin saves, right? It's taking the energy and it's putting it in the cells and it's saving it, and that shows up as fat when it can't get it in other places because there's just too much. Glucagon spends. Glucagon goes, hey, liver, all those fat stores, those little packages of glucagon, glucose that you've packaged together as glycogen to store. I want you to start breaking those down and putting them back into the bloodstream, because this person's not eating anymore and the blood sugars are dropping. So glucagon says, hey, liver, let's get rid of some of that sugar that's stored in there. Now you're clearing out your liver, but your blood sugars are going back up because your body needs energy, but your insulin levels are staying down, because guess what? Muscle has back doors to get that kind of energy in. So intermittent fasting is important. Fiber first. Fiber first when you eat, because like the GLP-1s are trying to slow down the gastric emptying, right? So it's trying to slow down what's going on in your stomach to help you feel full, to help you not want to overeat. And this is giving you nutrients by way of 7 different soluble and insoluble fibers, and that's important, to help slow down the delivery of your food into your into your intestines from your stomach, so that you're feeling fuller longer, so that your body has time to absorb the nutrients out of that food that it needs in a timely manner, in a time released manner. So it's not all just this huge package delivery all at once and your body has to deal with it. Instead, it's slowing it down and leveling it out. And then it's helping you stay fuller longer, because now it soaks up in your gut and expands, making you full before you eat. But after you eat, all of the food starts to sink into this thick, gelatinous, kind of sticky substance that's in your gut now, coats it, slows it down from delivering, but it's not impeding delivery. So it's not causing malnutrition. It's actually helping the body metabolize the nutrients that you have by allowing it to pass through in a manner that the body can use. So fiber first. Another interesting thing is GLP-1. You guys want, besides the tea, 2 other things you can do to increase your own natural GLP-1 in your body, including satiety and the blood sugar control and all of that. Well, the next 2 things I'm going to talk about actually increase your GLP-1 marginally in your body, and that's protein. So prioritize protein. We need about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight that we want to be at ideally. For me, that looks like about 150 grams of protein in a day. You may have to track it at first to make sure that you're getting in the right amount of protein. Protein will naturally increase your GLP-1 agonist, helping you feel full, helping you regulate the blood sugars, and just helping you get nutrients in and building blocks for the rest of your body. Number 2, besides the tea, is fats. Saturated fats, not the monounsaturated fats, not the trans fats, not all of that. Saturated fats, olive oil, coconut oil, butter, ghee, avocado oil, just the animal fats that come with the meats that you eat. Saturated fats actually increase your GLP-1 in your body. So the tea, protein, fats, increase GLP-1, help you feel fuller longer, help you with burning fat. Amazing, right? Do you really need an injection in the belly that's costing you $300 a month and likely causing your body damage? Probably not. Focus on your nutrients. And then there you have it. Um, so fiber first, prioritize protein, don't fear fats. Focus on those saturated fats, but don't overdo them either. Limit your carbs, especially boxed packaged carbs. Then do some intermittent fasting. Why intermittent fasting? After you eat, it takes about 8 hours for your insulin level to come down. It takes another couple hours for glucagon to come out. Now, although glucagon is rising blood sugar, and people will see that as, oh my God, we got to cure the diabetes, you got to keep the blood sugar down. So they're restricting how glucagon acts. Now, glucagon comes out, which is cueing your liver to dump off some of the stuff that it has so that you can have energy. In the meantime, you're also having an increase of HGH, human growth hormone, and every cell needs that hormone. You have an increase in ketones, which are messengers telling your body to burn fat for fuel. And that fat, guess what the fat is comprised of? It's not just fat, it's not dietary fat. That fat is comprised mostly of glucose. It can have some toxins, it can have some waste and some inflammatory cells in it, but now you're able to start getting rid of those. Insulin will not let you burn fat, so you have to get the insulin level down. So do some intermittent fasting. Now it takes about 14 hours before all of these processes interchange. 8 hours insulin goes down, 10 hours glucagon goes up, 12 hours HGH and ketones go up. 14 hours, the process of those ketones and stuff going up actually starts showing up as amplified fat burning. We give you a couple of hours, 14 to 16 hours, to have that amplified fat burning, and you're good to go. Okay, that's how most people are addressing their insulin resistance. And it's not about calorie restriction. I get a little, I understand, I get frustrated not at the people, but at the education we've had. So a lot of people are stuck in this calories in, calories out mode, and they're like, okay, so great, 16-8 works. If I go to 20 hours or 24 hours and do one meal a day, it's going to work better. On the outset, that looks right. Okay. But intermittent fasting is not about calorie restriction. It's about letting your body have a rest from insulin and then giving it the nutrients that you need in the meantime. So when you are eating with intermittent fasting, the first things you should be getting in are things like protein and fats to help your body continue to be more in a fat burning state and not spike your insulin, and keep you feeling full so you don't have those spikes again. And now we're focused on getting in 150 or more, about a gram of protein per pound of body weight, because some people are smaller, some people are bigger, about 30 to 40 grams of fiber, and a good mix of macronutrients along with the proteins and fats. That's what we're focused on when we're eating. The scientists don't even talk about calorie counts because calorie counting is flawed. Dr. Giles Yao wrote a book. Number one, he has this book, Why Gene Eating, and that goes back to the blood types and your genetics, and then Why Calories Don't Count. We've gotten it all wrong. And so what I want people to know with intermittent fasting is it's not about calorie restriction. I'm going to keep repeating it till everybody understands me. Intermittent fasting is not about calorie restriction. It's about hormone regulation. So when we do the intermittent fasting, we're telling our body how to use these hormones of insulin and glucagon, the incretins like glucagon, like peptide, but we're also helping with cortisol levels. Now people are like, oh my God, if I fast, my cortisol level is going to go up. It can go up a little bit, but only very temporarily as your body settles into this fasted state. Cortisol levels actually come down, insulin levels are down. Now you're burning fat for fuel. Inflammation is going out of your body. A lot of good things are happening. The gut microbiome is getting reset. Your stomach lining is rebuilding. Your brain cells are rebuilding. Your heart cells are rebuilding. And it's just a lot of health. It has nothing to do with the calories. but more to do with the hormones coursing through your veins and how they're affecting all of these places in the body. So, intermittent fasting is a lifestyle that I was terrified of, thought I could never do, but I love it. And now I do regularly do like 36 and 12-hour fasts, which is what I'm doing this month. So, 36 hours of fasting and 12 hours of eating. But along the lines of what I just told you, I use the 36-hour fast because now at 60 years old and having been sick for a long time, I'm allowing my body even longer in that state of fat burning, of cellular regeneration to have the time to do that. And then when I eat in a 12-hour window, now I'm eating 3 meals and I'm really focusing on getting in those nutrients so that I'm not being malnourished. Because weight loss with malnourishment, which often is happening with people on the GLP1 drugs, is not a good way. It's not a good look. Your skin is saggy. You're losing muscle tone. Yes, you've lost weight, but guess what? When you go off of those drugs, you're likely to gain that weight back with a fervor. So I just want to make sure. So to purchase the system, hey, thanks you guys for asking. Underactive thyroid can be linked as well, but let's talk about how to order it. I'm going to show you guys real quick. And I will get the link in over here. Let me get the link in for Facebook and YouTube. And I didn't put, well, you guys see my last name on the ticker here. So you guys, I actually have a website as well, mishafayant.com. But let's take a look at how to order. Okay. So you see on this ticker that they're seeing over on YouTube, Facebook. So that's the number to text me at if you need to get a hold of me and ask questions. That's my website and that's my name, Misha Fayant. Okay. We will, I can post that up later. But in order to order on TikTok, you're going to go to my profile, tap on my profile picture, and then when the white box comes up below, you'll tap on that, and then you're going to see this, right? Misha Fayant, and right below it is this red lights. Right under there is this link. Click on this link. That takes you to my landing page. The top option here is where you order the system. It's as simple as that. On TikTok, the very first video in my pinned videos is the one talking about how to order the system and where to go, what to do. You'll notice that my name is at the top of this. You'll also notice that it has the company name here. This is the company's website. I'm not fulfilling anything. I'm not handling anything. The company's doing it. Then this is what you get. 30 of the tea, 60 of the pre-meal drink. And you guys, there is a new flavor of the tea if you've been with me or not. A couple of things. We have apple spice out now. Apple spice has a little bit of creamer in it, so it has a smoother taste, but still the same actions of the lemon ginger. We also have this flavor black that has a more coffee-like look and feel. It's not coffee, it's the same tea, but it just looks, feels, and tastes more like coffee. Now, an interesting thing is you can't get it on this page yet, but if you're a person who wants to make sure that all their stuff is sweetened with stevia, I have an answer for you. Yes, you can get the Unimate lemon and the balance in what we call natural because they're sweetened with stevia instead of sucralose. And so the people who've been asking me about that, I will do a video later today talking about it. But those people who are afraid to try it because of the small amount of sucralose that's in the products currently, they're now, the lemon tea and the balance are transitioning to what we call natural, so it's sweetened with stevia. Okay, so that's great news for most people, especially people who've told me they've had problems with sucralose. Underactive thyroid. Thyroid's really complicated. And I will give you this answer. We can come back next week and do you want me to do a whole talk on thyroid? I think I should. I think I haven't done that for a while. So next week I'll talk about thyroid specifically, and then we'll come into some of these other questions. Let me write it down so I don't forget, because I walk away and get busy and I forget. So look, thyroid, long story. TSH. You'll see three things on your thyroid panel: TSH, T4, T3. Okay. TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, right? When insulin is out of whack, all your other hormones are out of whack. Your brain stimulates you to produce thyroid stimulating hormone. That hormone goes out and tells the thyroid or the body to produce T4. T4 is an inactive form of thyroid hormone. Now, T4 can get blocked from converting into T3 because of insulin resistance, but it can also, and here's the part where it gets into when we start to take a look at Hashimoto's. So, what if your T4, your T3, your TSH all look like they're in normal levels, and the doctor says, hey, no, you don't have a problem? But what I want you to understand is thyroid is insulin delivers energy to the cells. Thyroid tells the cells how to use the energy. The active form of thyroid, T3, that goes in the cell and starts telling the body to utilize that energy, is impeded with insulin resistance. So even if you may have normal levels of T3 floating around in your blood, it may not show you the big picture of how your body is utilizing it, or if that T3 is able to get into the cells. When the cells become inflamed, they become protective. They don't start allowing anything in, and thyroid is one of them. So now you have this low thyroid type action when you have actually normal levels of thyroid. But insulin can also impede the thyroid in producing the hormones in the first place. And then when the thyroid is off, it affects the insulin. So again, with all of these hormones, insulin seems to be the central piece, and the dysregulation of other hormones can start with that hormone or it can start with insulin, but they interplay together, but in a nasty way when insulin's out of control. Okay. So underactive thyroid, we've had hypothyroid people and Hashimoto's people do the system and find great relief from their symptoms by just getting the insulin under control so that the other hormones could level out. Okay. So Levith, so it's a type of levothyroxine. So, and I have so thyroid is one of the ones I don't really have a problem with people taking because it's necessary. That's a huge one, guys. That's like if you have to do some thyroid, here's the thing though, a little story time. Before I ever found out about insulin resistance, before I ever found out about all this stuff, I was having thyroid issues and we couldn't figure it out. This is where I track my insulin resistance back to probably my late teens. I was having thyroid issues. The endocrinologists were having troubles figuring it out. I remember my endocrinologist was like wanting to pull his hair out. Like, I don't know, your thyroid is fine now. Your thyroid is not fine now. And he was just ready to throw in the towel. I went to a naturopathic physician who had a German technology that read electrical pulses through the body. And he was able to place in my prescriptions and stuff and see how they were acting in my body. Amazing technology. But he told me that I would have to have 5 times the dose of Synthroid that I'd been given for it to affect my thyroid in the way that it needed to. But by then, I'm going to be causing damage to the rest of the hormones in my body. He prescribed me Armour thyroid. They're now doing bioidentical thyroid. I think the Armour and the bioidentical, more compounded for you thyroids are better than just levothyroxine or probably Levith. Okay, so that's just my input. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but that's my take on it. I don't take any of them now. Okay, guys, it's the weekend, and so now they're out of Unimate. They're not out of all Unimate. They're having a shortage of lemon Unimate right now, because demand has increased so much. But we have stock of apple spice. We have stock of lemon ginger. I'm drinking lemon ginger now. And actually, it used to be that lemon was my favorite flavor, but I liked a little bit of spice with the lemon ginger. So my favorite flavor is now lemon ginger. If you want, we're not out of stock of black. We're not out of stock of lemon ginger. We're not out of stock of apple spice. We're only out of stock of lemon right now. And they're working to have that resolved within the next few days. And everyone who ordered it should still get it within 10 days. I'm sorry, it happens every once in a while. But good news, I want to impart this good news. Besides the fact that we have a natural solution now, now we have products that are sweetened with stevia. Now we have a great new flavor that's out. But we're also building a second manufacturing facility here in the US because it's taken off so much. We have one in Las Vegas. We have one in a warehouse at, and I think it's in Atlanta, but it's in Georgia. But we're now creating a second warehouse, not warehouse, but production facility here in the US. So we won't be running into those problems anymore. Also, the company's been around since 1903, but we've just been seeing tremendous growth as people like me are out educating others on the efficacy of these two real food products and how it can actually build your health instead of tearing it down to get those numbers down. Okay. All right. So I have to go get these errands done. I've got a lot going on, but I'm gonna do my Friday spiel now. Okay, you guys, it's the weekend, and some of you have to work on the weekend. I get that. Those of you who don't, these things that I'm on right now, this phone, all this stuff, you guys, it's not more important than our families. It's not more important than our interactions with the people we love. It's not more important than anything but the people in our life. So put the phone down. Spend some time with your family and friends. I'm going to tell a couple of stories. When I moved here to Maryland to be with my grandson to help with his care, I was having problems with my phone. And on the weekends, I was constantly on my phone and it hurt his little heart. He's like, Nana, this is my day internally. He would never say it to me, but you could tell in the look he had on his face, like, I thought we were spending time together. Why are you on your phone again? And I started realizing, wow, I've become one of those people. And so I started taking my phone and laying it face down or leaving it in my purse when I went out to eat. I started leaving my phone. Sometimes I don't answer my phone on the weekends because I really don't even have it on because I'm spending time with my family. Now, look, how does that relate to insulin? You guys, when we reduce stress, and screen time increases stress when we're doing it chronically, when we reduce stress, when we increase these other hormones in our brain by doing stuff with our family, by enjoying our family, by enjoying our life, our cortisol levels come down and so does our insulin levels. Okay. So give your family time. Now, the other part of the story was I've been on the other side of that where I had a dear friend visit recently. I was really looking forward to her visit, wanted to connect. She does this business with me, wanted to spend a great deal of time helping her with things. She's not as technologically knowledgeable as me. So I just really wanted to connect. And you know what happened the whole time? She was on her phone, texting this person, texting that person, looking something up. Finally, the day we drive her to the airport, I'm like, okay, cool. We'll have an hour where we can spend some time together. We can talk and we can, have this friendship relationship. And nope, she's on the phone the whole time. And I even asked her, what are you doing on the phone? She goes, oh, I'm creating this post. I'm doing this and I'm doing that. In my head, I thought, you're going to be sitting in the airport for almost 2 hours. Why couldn't you do it then? This is our opportunity to have some time together. And we did not talk the entire trip. What's happening to our friendships, what's happening to our families is because we're not investing in them as much as we're investing in these phones. That's my gig. And yes, when you get rid of the phone and the blue light and all the stress that you're feeling and all this dopamine production that you're feeling, you can connect more with your family. You can have more of the good vibe hormones going on, and your insulin levels will start to come down as you start to have a more normal, satisfying life. Get rest. Plug in with the people you love, stop all the screen time. That's my big gig. So I'm about ready to go get everything ready so that my grandson, who gets off early today, can come have Kenny Day with Nana. In fact, there's even a notification on my phone that says it goes off and he knows, and it says Kenny Day. And when that happens, we put the phone away and I invest in that little 7-year-old boy. Please think about doing the same for yourself and your family. It's a lovely thing to do. You'll be surprised at how much your blood pressure goes down, your anxiety goes down, and your well-being just gets better. All right, guys, we'll see you Monday. We'll talk about thyroid, low thyroid, Hashimoto's, all of that Monday. Okay, So Monday through Friday, I go live around 8:30 every morning. I'm trying to get back to 8:30, but things always happen. This morning, I was having a horrible allergy attack in a new area, so I couldn't stop sneezing, and I could barely even talk until I got on here. So around 8:30, I'm here every morning, Monday through Friday, and we talk about whatever we need to talk about to help you understand this thing called insulin resistance and how you can overcome it and get better. All right. Tangles, thank you. Tangi, thank you. I appreciate you so much. And yeah, every one of you who are constantly on my lives and supporting me, interacting, I appreciate you all so much. And people are afraid to call me or text me because they're like, oh, she's so busy. I don't want to interrupt her. You guys, my soul lights up when you text me and ask me questions. Please, 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 please don't ever feel bad about contacting me when you need information about this whole thing and you just need more personalized attention. Just let me know. That's what I'm here for. All right. I gotta go. I gotta go. Stop talking. All right. Have a good weekend. We'll see you Monday. Love you too. Thank you so much, you guys.